She's a coal-fired steamer, powered by 2 locomotive-type boilers with 2 steam engines delivering 500 horsepower. She's TSS Earnslaw, meaning twin-screw steamer, 2 propellers. Engine room crew of 3 guys, they're running the ship. You're the skipper, you're steering the ship. You work together to make that ship run. You relay what you want to the engine room. You've got to believe that those guys will return that call through the engine, and they believe that what call you're giving them is exactly what is required. Queenstown, it's the gateway to Fiordland. When you're entering that bay, you're entering at full speed. You're doing 12.4 knots. I signal through the ship's whistle, 1 long, 2 shorts. That's telling everybody that this vessel is restricted in its ability to manoeuvre, and so everybody must get out of the way of the Earnslaw. You're looking at the flags in the bay and your wind gauge on the bridge to tell you exactly what wind you're dealing with, and they can come through it up to 30 knots. I think that it's all pretty good here. I don't really need much more in my life.
The alpine resort of Queenstown overlooks Lake Wakatipu and sits in a U-shaped valley carved by an ancient glacier. The region was first settled by Europeans in 1862 when gold was discovered. Queenstown is the largest centre of central Otago, with a permanent population of over 20,000, and has been described as the adventure capital of the world. The town now plays host to more than 1 million visitors a year. Queenstown has become a mecca for travellers. They come from around the world, and increasingly, they come in search of adventure. One of the extreme sport pioneers in Queenstown was Swiss-born René Schwaller. René was one of the first pilots to fly off the many mountains surrounding Queenstown in a paraglider.
In '86, I saw people fly off hills, and they looked like parachutes with people with skis on, and I thought, that looks like fun. So I learned how to fly, which led to me buying 2 of them right away and bring them back to New Zealand in early '87. It was the infancy of a new sport, and it's quite interesting to ride or create an evolution of a sport, albeit the first step of it. Queenstown, it's hailed as the adventure capital of the world. The reason for that is we have not only mountains, but we've got lakes, we've got rivers, so people can leap off cliffs, they can raft down rivers, they can go sailing. Things have definitely changed since I first turned up. It attracts not just the extreme, it attracts a broader range of folk these days. There's no wilderness like we have here. That's what attracted me. You go a few k's over the back and you're on your own. You better know what you're doing because you're on your own. I've done it for 20 years. It still is amazing to see people completely buzzed or only 10 minutes in the air. They absolutely love it. It just keeps you alive, I think. It keeps it real.
To the west of Queenstown are the Darren Mountains. For a Fiordland helicopter pilot, no day is ordinary. Hannibal is saving these climbers a day or more of hard trekking, landing them high in the granite peaks that form the Darren Mountains.
There's a lot of things to consider long before you get to the mountain. You should never be going to land somewhere where your head hasn't been 5 minutes beforehand. You've thought it through, where you're going, how high is it powdered snow, is it going to blow up and give you a whiteout? If it's just a flat expanse of snow, then you've got nothing to set up a hover on. You do look for contours in the snow, you look for shading and light. There's all little telltale things in the hills that'll tell you where the wind's coming from. You're not going to arrive there and it's behind you and you're actually descending into your own rotor wash. That's not good. So there is a few tricks to mountain flying, and it does take a number of years to become half good at it.
This is the Ngapunatoru Plateau, and from here they will head for the 2,723-meter summit of Mount Tutoko. The town of Te Anau is a popular stopover for travellers driving to Milford Sound Fjord. At 344 square kilometres, Lake Te Anau is the country's second largest. The transition between rolling plains on one side of the lake to the forested Fiordland mountain country on the other is stark and dramatic. Just to the south is Lake Manapori. This was the scene of an environmental controversy that consumed New Zealand, creating a national debate that saw the birth of the New Zealand Green Movement and the emergence of an environmental champion, Emeritus Professor Sir Alan Mark.
In early 1960, the government announced they'd signed an agreement to harness the water resources of Lakes Manapuri and Te Anau to the maximum. It would involve raising the level of Lake Manapuri to that of Te Anau, 27 metres. I think the government of the day saw no commercial value in the park, and basically it was an area of vacant land ready to be exploited, despite the legislation which gave clear legal protection to the natural values of the park. The chief engineer from the Ministry of Works, who were overseeing the project at the time, said, when we raise the level of Lake Manapuri, we will improve on nature. We will be managing it along our lines, whereas nature we cannot predict. It was clear that the proposal to harness the electricity had been designed by engineers alone without any consideration of the environmental aspects, even though it was a national park. I think at the time, much of the Western world was awakening to the consequences of unconstrained development. Development without much consideration for the environment.
The controversy surrounding the proposed raising of the lake caused nationwide protest, and in 1972, the government dropped the scheme. Bill Black is a renowned Fiordland helicopter pilot with over 40 years aviation experience. Sir Alan Mark is one of New Zealand's leading plant ecologists, specializing in the indigenous ecology of tussock grasslands, alpine and wetlands, shrublands, forests and lakeshores. Today, Alan is flying with Bill to record aerial images for his project studying the patterns and botanical processes of the Kepler Mire, the most extensive and internationally significant wetland in New Zealand. An autogyro propeller provides forward thrust, while the rotor blade generates lift in the same way as a glider's wing, by changing the angle of the air as it moves upwards and backwards relative to the rotor blade. The original plan for the construction of the Manapuri power station called for the raising of Lake Manapuri, merging it with Lake Te Anau. The Save Manapuri campaign commenced in 1959 and came to manifest the growing international awareness of environmental issues.
No doubt about it. The green movement is increasing, the public concern is increasing, but the big developers are still out there, I think, hell-bent on development at any cost, really.
The Kepler Mire covers more than 900 hectares and was named after the German mathematician and astronomer Johannes Kepler. The Mire was portrayed as the Dagorland battlefield in Lord of the Rings. Rare plants here are under threat, another reason why the preservation of this area is so important. Sir Alan Marks became actively involved in the controversy surrounding the raising of Lake Manapuri and played a key role in linking science with conservation. Even without a second dam, not constructed because of the environmental concerns, electricity generation is impressive. At the head of the west arm of the lake, water enters a tunnel under the mountain to power generators in a great hall, buried deep in the